Welcome into the Awesemo MMA Live Before Lock show. I am Jason Ford. As always, I'm joined by the fighter Pete Rogers Jr. We are sponsored by Prize Picks. We'll talk about Prize Picks later on in the show. Of course, I was over on Prize Picks earlier this morning and definitely saw some interesting props they have over there. Of course, if you're just kind of getting your day started with your prep for today's UFC card, should note, Pete, we just got to start right off at the top. Already one fight cancellation due to COVID protocols, Barcelos and Henry off the card.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing because I love Houney Barcelos, but we'll have to watch that fight later on, and it made me pivot to some people within that price range that we'll get to. I really like Houney from an upside standpoint, but another 9,000 option falls off, and now we have to be a little bit selective.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was, as I was making some adjustments to my lineups was, okay, who am I transitioning from? I would say this overall, my core today is Ricky Simón and Gerald Meerschaert. And when I was doing my office hours chat a little while ago, one of the things that, because I was getting asked about Fanduel Captains, and I said, one of the reasons I love Gerald Meerschaert as a captain over on Fanduel is because of those points you get for submission attempts. Because look, we both know that is how Gerald Meerschaert's going to win the fight. So just kind of something to think about as you're putting together your FanDuel lineups with that, who do you want to put at captain over there? Ricky Simón, I was actually looking at the DraftKings captain contest, and he was kind of the name that really stuck out to me because this is a guy that, we talked about on Thursday, the amount of takedowns that this guy has gotten throughout his UFC career. He has gotten at least one takedown in every single one of his UFC fights, with the exception of his loss against Uriah Faber. And for those who maybe did not catch the strategy show, you look at, of course, Ricky Simón has won 3 in a row against Brian Keller. He was 6 for 9 in takedowns, had 8 minutes and 14 seconds of control time against Perello, 7 of 10, almost 7 minutes of control time. Borg, he was 7 for 11, over 5 minutes control time. So, when we're talking about, especially that DraftKings, and if you're looking at that captain contest, I do think Ricky Simón has got to be someone you got to be paying attention to.
Yeah, I love it. I like Ricky Simón today as well. I think it's a massive step up in competition, but you are catching a legitimate fighter at the tail end of their career in Rafael Sunsao. So it's a test at the correct time. And, we'll have to see if Ricky Simón passes it or if he kind of squeaks by. But I think that Ricky Simón's wrestling is just like top tier. I really do for this division. Top tier. You talk about excellent top control. As long as he can avoid getting put in the submission, I even think like on the feet, he has enough power to really crack Rafael Sunsao, who has been somewhat susceptible at times to getting wobbled and rocked. So yeah, I really do like Ricky Simón. And, I kind of view Ricky Simón and Mateusz Gamrot as 2 of the fighters now without Houney Barcelos to have the highest ceilings on the card, just given their ragdoll nature and how they can take their opponents to Takedown City. You did mention that Gerald Meerschaert is a piece of your core, and I do like it. Not too long ago, Meerschaert, was on a skid, back-to-back losses to Ian Heinisch and Khamzat Chimaev, knockout losses. And it just goes to show you that anything can happen in MMA, and you can turn your careers around with a couple good wins. You're only as good as your last fight. And until you get in the win column, a lot of people will, underestimate you and doubt you. And he proved a lot of people wrong in that Mahmoud Muradov fight. The Bartosz Fabinski fight, I liked him in that one. But the Muradov fight definitely answered some questions. He took some shots. He came back, dealt with some adversity, attempted 10 takedowns, landed 3 of them en route to a submission win. So his submissions are top tier, and I'm not really big on Dustin Stoltzfus, so I do like your core this week. I would have to agree with it.
Of course, if you do have any questions, you can leave that over our Discord channel. Also, you can leave it right here on YouTube. We'll get to those over the next hour or so. Of course, if you're not subscribed also right here on YouTube, be sure to do that. Of course, we got a ton of great programming for you each and every day to get you ready for what is going on today in DFS. Of course, we got you covered for tonight's NFL game. Of course, we were supposed to have a couple of NFL games today, but postponed there. We do got the one game come up here tonight, so keep it locked here all day long. And of course, if you're not an Awesemo Plus member, you want to get a little peek what's behind the paywall. Today's free premium data and tools are Week 15 NFL Top Stacks, NBA ownership rankings, NHL Top Stacks, and UFC Pro Plays.
Bro, I did not even know we had an NFL game tonight. What?
What rock are you living under?
Apparently the MMA rock. That is the only thing I care about. Man, and it's
Yeah,
New England too. Wow.
yeah, bro,
Geez,
you live in
you
New
guys can
England. You
tell.
live in New England.
I know, but you guys can tell that I just care about the MMA fights for you guys. Goodness gracious. All right, well, definitely have to set my lineups and have to be a part of that. I love me some Showdown.
Of course, something else we got to mention about, we did have 3 fighters miss weight yesterday. Justin Taffa becomes the first heavyweight in UFC history to ever miss weight. It was, to me, obviously he's a big boy. We knew that, but I think the thing that really stuck out to me was when I was on my Facebook timeline and I saw Harry Hunsinger's management say that Taffa was not even going to use the additional time to make weight. So he does get a percentage of the purse. I want to say he got 20% of Taffa's purse there. Also, then we had Macy Chiasson miss weight by 2.5 pounds. Of course, that fight was initially going to be a 135-pound fight, gets moved to a 145-pound fight on fight week. She still misses weight. And then also you had Jar Eubanks missing weight as well. She missed weight by 1.5 pounds. So Pete, what's your take on, obviously it changed my thought on Macy Chiasson a lot, because she was definitely an underdog I was looking at. I don't know. It really doesn't change my mindset to Jar Eubanks a lot. And the only thing on Taffa to me is more of, you just decide, you know what, I'm not going to try to cut this additional weight. I'll take my penalty.
Yeah, so a lot to digest there, but I will say that Taffa missing weight as the first heavyweight ever is interesting because I don't know how to interpret that. Has this guy been just slacking, eating whatever, you're not really training? Is he committed? Is he not committed? Is he possibly dealing with an illness, an injury? It's not a red flag necessarily because I don't know. It seemed like a laziness type of thing. Like he just didn't feel like going in there and zapping any energy and wanted to just accept the fine.
Yeah.
But it definitely made me increase my Hunsucker lineups just a tiny bit. I mean, I'm not getting to him to him much, but I definitely think it's worth considering now just because all the unknowns surrounding Taffa, and Taffa in the UFC is 1-3. It's not like he's a phenomenal fighter by any means. He possesses power and he's tough. The Macy Chiasson fight is kind of interesting to me. I don't really love that from a DFS standpoint. I was favoring Raquel Pennington in the bout, and Macy, them having to do a catch weight and then still missing the catch weight. I don't really understand what's going on with that. Another reason why I do like Raquel Pennington in the fight, but not a priority for me in regards to DFS. I think that Pennington's fights are won and lost a lot in the cage, and a lot of time is wasted in moments like that, which can result in low scores. Sajara Eubanks, man, I told you before the show that I'm not aware of too many fighters that miss weight as much as she has. Ray Borg's one, but he's obviously battled with some personal and family issues over the time, but he struggled with some weight management. And Sajara Eubanks, she has to the hopes at this weight class are just over. She's been given too many chances. So I don't know. She's a good fighter, but with a questionable gas tank, just had a terrible weight cut, fighting a fighter that's going to test her in areas. It makes me, and I think everybody, like Melissa Gatto a little bit, but I am afraid of Gatto just, accepting positions on her back and having a heavy Sajara Eubanks on top, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, is not what you want. So all in all, what a disaster as far as like the commission and for the matchmakers. Like, you want these guys to come in there, and guys and girls to come in there and make weight as professionals. And this is just a bad look.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's Eubanks, and the one thing about her, and when she has stepped to the cage, she has been pretty much a decision machine. She did get that TKO in her last fight, but more times than not, she is going to a decision there. The first question you got to hit up was Mershart or Simone. To me, I think Mershart is the safer pick between the two. I would say I'm more confident in him, obviously, but Ricky Simone potentially has a very high ceiling, multiple takedowns, control time, things along those lines. I would vote it Mershart Simone, but I do understand Ricky. If you tell me Ricky goes out there, gets a decision win, and brings in 125 points, I wouldn't be shocked.
No, I wouldn't be shocked at all because it's a lot to deal with. Like, everybody knows what's going to come, and can you stop it?
Yeah.
And also Ricky Simon packs a powerful punch. Like, he really does. He hasn't really found, too many knockout wins within his career, but I definitely think that it's possible, especially, via ground and pound. So I actually would rate it Ricky Simon 1, Mearshart 2, but I understand that Ricky Simon is in a much more dangerous matchup against a legitimate, fighter in Rafael Sunsao, whereas Stoltzfus is a guy that I'm not even sure is UFC level.
And I mentioned about this with Rafael Sunsao on the strategy show. In his last 4 fights, he's only had to defend 1 takedown attempt. That was against Corey Sandhagen. Matthew Lopez was the last fighter to take him down. So something just to kind of think about as you're putting your lineups there together. By the way, when we talk a little prize picks later on, do you want to talk Jake Paul prize pick props?
Oh boy, I want to hear him, but I don't really want to.
We'll bring that up here in a little bit. But yes, there Prize Picks does have props up there for Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley.
Stop it.
I know you're ordering the paper. You know you are.
Hell no, I'm not. My friend tried to play it off. My buddy Dan, he was like so upset when Tyron lost last time, and I was telling him, like, dude, just like, you know, Jake Paul be a decision is how I would go about it. And he was so upset. And then today he tried to convince me that he wasn't upset and didn't lose money on it. And he's like double or nothing. I'm like, goodness gracious. I'm not touching that circus with my money.
If someone invited you over tonight, you would not go?
Yeah, I ain't paying it though. I ain't paying it.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. Love, hate, you're indifferent. Jake Paul, guy can push tickets. They're sold out tonight at Amalie Arena.
Hey, whatever, man. It's I think it's cool for the other fighters on the card. I don't like the celebrity matches and whatnot, but I'm a purist, so that's why.
So Tony brings up a question on potentially a fighter breaking the slate with a first round knockout, and it's a fighter that I hate to trust. Charles Jourdain.
Ooh, I know, but I actually had the same thought process of, Andre Ewell coming up a weight class. Well, he has fought at this weight class, but he's naturally a 135er, just coming off a knockout defeat. And you have seen him get wobbled and rocked at certain times, but Jourdain has looked like all hype and no results in the UFC. And on the regional scene, he's looked explosive, dynamic striking, throws, powerful kicks, big blitz combinations. I do think that he's going to be the more aggressive, and he actually has some like sneaky guillotine chokes where I think his ground game's bad, but I do think that it's better than Andre Ewell. So I can see multiple ways of him, getting it done. And something that I actually found, let me pull this up, because I ended up getting to a lot of Charles Jourdain, and it's something that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in 6 fights, he has 6 knockdowns. Something that I liked, especially on the DraftKings platform.
We talked about that with Josh Emmett back 2 weeks ago. Next question we got in here says Mearshart and Parisian or Eubanks and Lewis on DraftKings. Merry Christmas. And let's hook up for the bag. Man, I'd rather go the Mearshart Parisian side of that equation. The thing that ultimately concerns you about Derek Lewis, and look, I think it's a close fight and he can end the fight any moment. But what always concerns me about him, especially when we talk about DraftKings or FanDuel, is the fact of there's not a ton of volume there, and that's always a concern going to be with Derek Lewis.
Yes, because he can win with limited volume and it not result in a lot of points. I think that we could have some big performances, and I think a contrarian way is to somewhat be a little bit lighter on the main event. Obviously, it's tough whenever heavyweights are headlining, but I definitely think that could separate yourself. You mentioned it before the show, but I'll have to agree with you that Mearshart and Parisian look like the better combination. Eubanks with the weight miss, I'm still picking her to win, but I did increase my Gato exposure. But the Parisian one is volatile because I think that's going to get stretched out. You would think they both have glaring holes. I don't trust Parisian or Dante Mays.
Yeah, they are. You talk about fighters on this card that are on the do not trust list. Those are two fighters that definitely are on that list for me. Now, Pete, you mentioned that you've been so much in the lab breaking
Yep.
down fights. You didn't know that we had NFL games tonight. You do know it's college football bowl season, right?
I don't even know what that is.
You do not know what college football bowl
I
season
swear
is?
to God, I don't even know what that is. You booing me. I got Tyler booing me. I know what punch face is, and that's it. Like MMA, I don't bowl season. What is that? Is
College
that like
football
the
bowl season. We are in bowl season where teams play in bowl games. You have never, Pete, I don't know. Who are you? How do you not know what college football bowl season is?
You could keep saying it. I don't know what that means. You're speaking another language to me. What is
Well,
that? Is that like the Super Bowl?
There's all these bowl games that are happening, for the next couple of weeks leading up to the college football national championship game. Like we had the Bahamas Bowl yesterday. You
I've
really are
never heard of
baffling
any
me.
of this.
Wow, this is just absolutely amazing. Tyler's just probably just shaking his head, going, "How does my
I
guy
think
not know college football bowl
it's not
season?"
I don't know. New England doesn't like, we're not big into football, like college football, because like what we got UConn stinks at football. We're a basketball nation up here.
Very true. Well, we do got a promo going on over at awesemo.com for bowl season, as you can use a promo code bowl season to get full access to our college football DFS projections for 50% for every bowl game. That's $25 with promo code bowl season, all caps, one word. You can click the link to activate this promo now. It is valid through Wednesday, December the 22nd. So that is this upcoming Wednesday. God, there's times you just throw me for a loop, and I'm like, you just throw me for a loop on this one.
Yeah, right. Half the chat is perplexed, and half the chat is supportive. Listen, I stay in my lane. I know NFL, I know NBA, I know MLB, college stuff. I don't know. It's just not big up here in Connecticut. Well, bowl season.
Yes, it is bowl season, Pete. By the way, mention another listener question that we have coming in here. Top MVP options for FanDuel Cash. For me, I would look at Gerald Mearshart would be my top MVP option.
Damn, you're really drinking the Mearshart Kool-Aid. I mean, I like them today.
Well, okay. Well, you got to look at the FanDuel scoring.
Okay. Good. Thank you for
So
pointing that out. That's a good point with the submission.
With that
attempts.
submission attempts. I mean, now look, Ricky Simone, if we look what he's done his past couple of fights, we're talking 6-7 takedowns. But I don't see Ricky going for submissions. I see him just using, top control, raining down punches, where Gerald Mearshart. Now, I will say this. If you tell me Gerald Mearshart's into the third round, I might be a little concerned.
Yeah. You know what's interesting too is like Mateusz Gamrot, and I know, I don't expect him to submit Diego Ferreira because he shouldn't, but he has such an amazing wrestling acumen that from top position, you saw him do it to Jeremy Stevens. He snatched up that Kimura, I believe it was Kimura, and relatively quickly.
Yeah.
He could threaten with some, and any good grapplers like a Ricky Simone, a Mearshart. How about this? My guy, Bilal Muhammad. Best way to get Stephen Thompson out of there is probably trying to attempt some submissions if you get him down.
I think you got to replicate what Goat Burns did. I think you got to get in Stephen Thompson's face. You can't make this a range fight.
And the thing is, the IQ of Bilal Muhammad, right? We're not talking about just a regular guy within the division. Like, nothing against Jeff Neal, but let's just use Jeff Neal, right? Jeff Neal doesn't have the tools that Bilal Muhammad does in the grappling realm to really do this, or possibly the experience. But a guy who breaks down fights like Bilal Muhammad and knows how to cater a style around his opponent, I think is interesting. So I don't know. I feel like the entire industry's off Bilal Muhammad, and me being a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fanboy, it's kind of weird that I'm the only guy that, I mean, it's for ownership is what I'm saying. Like, Bilal Muhammad's coming in a little too light.
One thing that when I was building some lineups for single entries, the thing that really stuck out to me is I found myself pairing up Bilal and Angela Hill, which literally lets you get to whoever you want.
Yeah, you can get to anybody.
I think I'm on this Angela Hill mountain today, and I hope I'm just not dead wrong on this one. Like I love her as a cash play. I think it is a staple for me in cash because I don't see Lemos stopping Angela Hill. So I think this thing's going 15 minutes. And if you look at, and as long as this thing stays on feet, which that's what I'm expecting, I think Angela Hill's got a nice floor, even in a 3-round decision loss.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. I got to some Angela Hill. It's just a matter of like, let's say she wins, right? Say she gets 85 points and we find 6 other fighters that actually have 100 points, then, she'll make her way into a lot of winning lineups, but I just don't know about optimal. But given that price range, if she finds a finish somehow, then man, oh man, she definitely will be a part of the optimal lineup. So I have some more Angela Hill than the field, just given the salary reduction.
Next one, Tafa Fanduel MVP. Fatty getting that first round knockout. Look, if Justin Tafa's win, I think it's by knockout and it's early. The longer the fight goes on, I think the concern you have for Tafa's gas tank.
So we're assuming that is directed towards Tafa because Hunsucker could surprise. I don't know. I mean, I have a little bit more Hunsucker than I wanted to, just because he's cheap. I don't really have faith in either one of these guys, even though Tafa, if he's UFC level, he should win this fight. But, the night before our live before lock, I like to go and look at the very bottom under 8,000 and I deep dive and I watch film more and I go on social media and I try to find everything. Let me just tell you that a couple years ago, I found some regional tape of Harry Hunsucker and they were talking about how he was a recently promoted brown belt. So he's at least a brown belt at this point in time. He could be even more. He could be a black belt by this time. I'm not sure. But if he goes out there and rushes and puts Tafa on his back and tries to threaten with a submission, he has done it in the regional scene where he hunts an Americana from half guard. It's just interesting. So I'm not saying you smash exposure to him, but don't be afraid of it because it's a low-level heavyweight MMA fight. And Tafa has been somewhat of a punching bag in some of his matches, and a guy that just missed weight. I don't know. It's just something to consider.
Next up, Mearshart or Jourdain. Who's the better GPP single entry play? Why do I feel like you go Jourdain that helps separate yourself? That more people are going to be on Mearshart.
It's close. I'm not sure. I mean, Mearshart's definitely safer. So I think the knockdowns are some of the best stats for us to hunt in MMA DFS, especially on DraftKings, because they're worth so much. Grapplers are great, but knockdowns are amazing. And a guy in Charles Jourdain who hits really hard and has 6 fights in the UFC with 6 knockdowns. I like what I'm seeing in that, even though he hasn't been the most successful within the UFC. He has moments and he's aggressive. So if you're a safe player, Mearshart, if you like upside, go Jourdain.
Ryan says this is a 2v2 that I'm contemplating in cash. Mearshart and Sales or Jourdain and Levitt. I'd prefer the Jourdain Levitt side. This is my concern with Sales and Levitt. And look, and take out that everyone knows my opinion on the first fight of the night. I really don't like playing it. But the problem is you've got Sales coming in off, a knee injury, first fight back. It's been documented about how he ballooned up and he's had to cut a lot of weight for this fight. Jordan Levitt, we all saw in the last fight, how do we be nice about this? The lack of a striking game.
I didn't think he looked that. I mean, he didn't look good, but you could tell he's a grappler. But I've seen a lot worse. Seen a lot worse stroll through my gym, and they got tons of MMA fights. And he's learning the game. And I am worried about if this is forced to be a stand-up affair. But what I saw from Levitt, even in those striking exchanges, is he's constantly trying to set up, his takedowns. I listened to a bunch of interviews from both Matt Sales and Jordan Levitt. And Matt Sales, I got to tell you, he seems like he's completely underestimating Jordan Levitt. And he's like, this guy looks like he's got high school wrestling. He's got a funky style because he stinks, blah, blah, blah. And he talked about how he was 250 pounds coming off a knee injury. I'll tell you what, if I'm in the Jordan Levitt quarter, I'm saying, as cruel as it is, he's coming off major ACL reconstruction. If you threaten with a leg lock, I bet you he's going to be quick to tap. You threaten with a leg lock, I bet you he's going to be quick to tap, and use that to your advantage to get into the head of him. And, a lot of people really underestimate just momentum in the cage and being acclimated under the lights. And Levitt has been in there. So I'm leaning Levitt heavily, but I view this first fight of the night as like some of the biggest GPP implications on the card.
Yeah. Someone brought up about Gamrot and whether or not he could be optimal. I mean, the thing with Diego Ferreira is the fact of this is a guy that is very talented on the ground as well. But, we saw Gregor go that route against him. I did find myself with Barcelos being off. Gamrot was one of the guys that I did transition to.
Yeah. So I went from high upside guy in Raoni Barcelos to high upside guy in Ricky Simon, or to high upside guy in Gerald Mearshart / Mateus Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot is one of the best mid-price guys with incredible upside. He literally has that Ricky Simon upside, only at 8,500. I like him here a lot. It's obviously a massive step up in competition, and he has to be very careful because if he fatigues himself too much, Diego Ferreira pulling off the upset would not surprise me. Diego comes from a very strong gym, so we'll have to see. But I am picking Mateusz Gamrot to win the fight.
Last fighter in, Hunsinger or Hill?
Oh, God.
See, Hunsinger, that's a boom bust play right there.
Right.
Where Hill, I feel like Hill's a safer route, but clearly Hunsinger has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, it depends on what contest you're in. If you're in a massive contest, like a 150 max, and you're just throwing like one dart in there, I'd go with Hunsucker. If you're trying to be relatively safe and just want X amount of points in your lineup, I'd probably go with Angela Hill in hopes that it's a high volume striking affair.
Of course, if you do have any questions, you can hit those up in the chat. We'll get to those as we do go on. Of course, this show is sponsored by Prize Picks. They have their daily prop-based contest. Be sure to use the promo code Awesemo for $100 first match deposit bonus, or up to $100 deposit bonus. You get 5-player lines that can have 10 times your entry fee. Use your knowledge on multiple sports with cross-sport entries. Download to the App Store, Google Play, or play on prizepicks.com. And of course, get 1 free month of Also Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. You'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours after you redeem your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Now, Pete, looking at the MMA side of the equation in this one, total fight time, there were two that kind of stuck out to me. One is Gerald Mearshart at 10 minutes. I'm on the under on that one.
Ooh, I mean, Stoltzfus does have some good wrestling to somewhat negate the game of Mearshart, but I'm going to say slightly over that, just like slightly, like right before round 3 ends.
Chris Daukaus 7.5. My gut says, give me over.
My gut says 3 round. It screws everybody.
Yeah. Looking over at the takedown side of the equation in this one, Ricky Simon 3.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, that's some more. How about the other one I'll throw out there? Jordan Levitt 1.5.
More.
Yeah, I'll
tell you what, he might not need more than 1. Like from what I've seen from Sale's ground game, I think that Levitt can possibly expose him there.
I mentioned Prize Picks does got props out there for tonight's Paul Woodley. Let me look at the Frank Gore, Deron Williams. I saw people in chat talking about it.
What a
punches landed Frank Gore 29.5. Same exact number for Deron Williams.
I don't know. How do you want me to answer that? I don't know. I hope they have these things for when I'm fighting on.
I might just say that might be a double more for me on that one.
Does flailing count as punches? Because I feel like we're going to see a lot of that.
Fight time on Jake Paul 23.75. I think. Look, this is boxing. Why do I just see Tyron Woodley winning a very close decision? We're just then setting up the trilogy matchup.
That would be the most business thing to do. I'm going to say less than that. I feel like somebody's going to go a little too hard and somebody's going to get put out.
But of course, be sure to check out Prize Picks, all the great prop they have over there, whether it's the UFC, NBA, and of course, you can use our free prop tool that we have over awesemo.com to help you create your lineups over there at Prize Picks. So be sure to use that promo code Awesemo when you sign up over at prizepicks.com. I saw this question earlier. Favorite fighter on DraftKings under 7,500?
Bilal Muhammad.
Here's my thing about Bilal. What is the ceiling for him in this fight in terms of score?
100 points. I think that he could get a finish, and he's not a finisher.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I'm not expecting it, but I think that he definitely can. His ground and pound, his submissions, his grappling. I think even 90 points at his salary can be great. Thompson will get back to his feet. He could just get Matt returned.
I thought you brought up a great point a second ago, is if you're getting into these big contests today that, are 150 and maybe you're just throwing a single bullet in there, and when you're looking at, who are those low end options, Harry Hunsinger is probably a great call if you're just throwing a single bullet in there.
100%. It's low level heavyweight MMA. He hits really hard. He has about 2.5 minutes of a gas tank, but in those 2.5 minutes, he was piecing up Jared Vanderaa, and he even caught Tai Tuivasa in an exchange right before he got leg kicked multiple times, then cracked and finished. But the guy has power, and it only takes one in that division. So I don't hate it. I think it's just a little too low of ownership. The ownership's reflecting that Tafa is like an amazing fighter, and he's not. He's okay. He's just a low level.
I feel like the only fight that we haven't touched on yet is Cub Swanson and Darren Elkins.
Mm-hmm.
We all know Darren Elkins. He's already started taking damage.
Yeah.
Like that's what Prize Picks needs to have. What's the prop on how many minutes it's going to take for Darren Elkins to start bleeding?
I want like strikes absorbed to Darren Elkins, and you just smash the over. I mean, that would be like minus 300. I'm sure. Like, yeah, I don't know. I really like that fight. I'm intrigued by it because I feel like a lot of people will probably think that Cub Swanson has the power to get him out of there. And I do, but Cub Swanson's Achilles heel has been his grappling, and a guy that kind of pressures you and just stays in your face sometimes doesn't allow that space for you to create your shots. And it looks like now that we have no Raoni Barcelos fight, this could be one of the sneakiest fights to target if you want points.
How about a kind of insane prop bet here? Darren Elkins wins via submission plus 600.
Yeah, that's value right there. The likelihood, it's definitely possible. I mean, he submitted Eduardo Garagori. He even submitted Michael Johnson. So, Cub Swanson has been quick to tap over the years, despite having a solid BJJ skill set as well. It's just a matter of like, dealing with adversity, and, Darren Elkins deals with it better than 99% of fighters out there.
We had a question about, last fighter in about Hunsinger Hill, kind of another kind of question like that. Josh Parisian or Macy Chiasson?
It's got to be Parisian, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Women's MMA, that bout, and just given the nature of Raquel Pennington, you can see Macy Chiasson, squeaking out a decision. Her finishing Raquel Pennington would be absolutely mind-blowing to me. There has to be something going on with Macy Chiasson to miss weight like that, to also ask for it to be at a catch weight and then to miss the catch weight. It's just like a head scratcher for me. She has good volume for her size and somebody with a ton of length. So I just feel like she's going to be pinned against the cage. So I would much rather get to a Josh Parisian, where I just view that fight as completely volatile.
Gamrot and Daukaus or Jourdain and Lewis? I would go the Gamrot Daukaus side of that equation.
I would as well, but that is too hell of a I might even make two lineups, man, because you really can't go wrong with either one of those. Like I see upside for both of them. Those are both four good options.
Next up, is Levitt part of the optimal lineup in a single entry?
I'm saying yes. I'm big on Levitt, and he could completely destroy my night. If he destroys a lot of my lineups, it's going to be a betting night for me, where it's like, okay, a lot of my DFS lineups, ride on this first fight of the night. And I'm just hoping and listening to a lot of the interviews and all the tape and training footage that I've seen, that I think Jordan Levitt could get that submission win. And he talked about urgency. He says, I was not urgent in my last fight, and I need to press and win every second of the fight. So we'll have to see.
Dave asked about whether Mearshart got a hell of an upset in his last fight. Yes, he was a 4-1 betting underdog in that matchup.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
And look, Fab Five, he mentions a great thing. Levitt hurt a lot of us in his last fight. He was, don't want to say he was like 9,000 on DraftKings this last fight.
You know what the problem with that was, in hindsight's 2020, is that Claudio Puelles was coming off an extreme layoff. So there were just so many unknowns surrounding him. Like, has he improved? What has he been working on? And I think it's more about how skilled Claudio Puelles is than, what we saw from Jordan Levitt. Jordan Levitt's completely one-dimensional, but he's a one-trick pony, and he's very good at it. So I think, like, on the ground, it's tough to avoid, grappling situations with him. And I think he's just going to out-scramble Matt Sales, but we'll have to see.
Is Tafa safer than Dontel Mays?
Odds would suggest yes. I don't trust. I'll tell you what, I do not trust Tafa. Like, for him to be coming in with massive ownership, it's like he should win. This is low-level heavyweights, though, but like, he's 1-3 in the UFC. Yeah, he's fought tough guys. Hunsucker's 0-1. But Hunsucker has shown on the regional scene he's got a ground game too. But I would say that Tafa should win. Mays and Parisian seems like a toss-up.
Tafa or Jourdain on DraftKings?
It's Jourdain. I like Jourdain. I really do. I think that he's just going to be a little too powerful for Andre Ewell.
Is this a night to leave salary on the table?
It's always a night to leave salary on the table.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to find a way to get different. I mean, even with us losing a fight, to me, and we talked about this on Thursday, it's like, well, how many underdogs could you see winning tonight? Could we see 3? Could we see 4 underdogs win tonight? And could we see something where, maybe, it's a Bilal Muhammad and it's a, let's say, Darren Elkins. Are 2 of those underdogs, to me, that's about going, maybe the guy I'll say that I'm probably not getting to enough is probably Diego Ferreira.
Yeah, I kind of went light on him as well. And, I think I'm even with the field, but I consider that being light given his skill set and his coaching staff surrounding him. Mateusz Gamrot did lose his UFC debut, and I definitely think that, Diego Ferreira has picked up some amazing wins over the years, but we'll have to see. But I am light on Diego Ferreira today too.
Dylan asked about 2 parlay plays for tonight. If you're looking just to play the straight lines on it, I think it's got to be is where can you find a little bit of value. If I was going to put 2 props together, I would look at the Gerald Mearshart via submission and the Ricky Simon via decision.
Okay, I like it. If I had to do a parlay, I would probably go Charles Jourdain, Mearshart, Simone, and if you're feeling crazy, add Muhammad in there, and that should be a nice one.
Adam's put a single entry into the big DraftKings GPP. He's looking to pick 2 out of these 4: Lemos, Jourdain, Simone, and Mearshart. I think everyone knows where I'm going to go because I've already said Simone and Mearshart are core plays for me today. I feel like if you wanted to get different, you probably put Lemos in there, but I just don't think she gets a stoppage victory. And at that price tag, I don't see her paying off in a 3-round decision.
Yeah, I mean, she scored 80 points once in the past where it was a decision victory. I will say that I'm not light on Amanda Lemos. I just feel like she's going somewhat overowned. Yeah, she's got phenomenal knockout wins, back-to-back first-round KOs, a decision win over Mizuki Inoue, where she scored 87, a submission win over Miranda Granger in round 1. She scored 103. If she goes the grappling route, I think that's probably the best thing for her, just to avoid the possibility of Angela Hill possibly stealing this via decision. Angela Hill has lost via submission in the past to Rana Marcos, Rose Namajunas, but she's never been TKO'd in the UFC. So I think that's something to note, that to expect her to go out there and just get, dismantled, I think would say a lot about Lemos, and it would be quite surprising.
Next up, Adam saying top fire 7,800 or cheaper, not including Parisian. I think in terms of talent, I would say it's Diego Ferreira.
7,800 and cheaper. Let me write this. It's Muhammad. I mean, if he doesn't come through, then a lot of my lineups again are not going to work. But I think that he is on the upward trajectory within the division. Whereas like Diego Ferreira kind of looks like he's slipping. Like he lost to Beneil Dariush and Gregor Gillespie, two phenomenal fighters within the division, but both have similar skill sets to Mateusz Gamrot. Yeah, I'd have to say it's Bilal Muhammad as the most skilled person down here under 7,800.
Let me ask you, top 2 wins for Bilal Muhammad in his UFC career. So we have got Augusto Montano, Randy Brown, Jordan Mean, Tim Means, Chance for Encounter, Curtis Miller, Takashi Soto, Lyman Good, Diego Lima, and Damian Maia. Clearly, Damian Maia, I think, is his best win, even a Damian Maia of 2021. I don't know. I would probably say Randy Brown or Tim Means as the second best win in the UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my whole thing about Bilal Muhammad is he hasn't had the opportunities, against the elite of this division. So I think tonight is going to tell us a lot about where can Bilal Muhammad go in this division.
Yeah, it's fair. It's definitely fair. He hasn't done it yet, but I'm looking at all these takedown attempts: 10, 8, 9, 6, 7, 4, 5, 12. Like that's a lot for Stephen Thompson to really, defend all of them, especially if he goes out there with a grappling heavy game plan, which he should. I think Thompson will have an answer for some of them. And I do view this as a tough matchup for both of them. But, this is the name that might catapult Muhammad into some bigger fights and some possible title contention one day.
Kenny asking about Parisian and Mays and who we like in this one. I mean, look, I think if the victory comes quickly, it's Mays within the first 7.5 minutes. But if you tell me this fight makes the late second, third round, I'm liking Parisian as a grindy type decision win, maybe a late stoppage. But I do think it's more likely that we see a Dontel Mays stoppage within the first 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, I say, a round and a half for Mays as it gets stretched out more for Parisian. Parisian does get hit. They're both so untrustworthy though. Like it's like a, 55-45 type of fight where it's so low level. It's tough to really have a confident stand. I'd rather have confident stands elsewhere.
Better last piece for a DraftKings GPP, Levitt or Muhammad, and leave 1,100 on the table.
Well, if you think that it's a crazy difficult matchup for Muhammad, which it is, and he's not going to land takedowns, I think Levitt's in a more even type of fight where he could, get a high score, like a finish, whereas Muhammad could just get a decision victory. So in that situation, I guess I'll say Levitt, but I'm pretty confident in Muhammad today.
It makes me wonder, is Matt Sales the guy to be looking at as to try to separate yourself from the field?
No, it's definitely Matt. Matt Sales is just the unknown wild card for this card. Yeah. He has good power in his hands. He has decent wrestling, questionable jiu-jitsu. In the interview that I listened to, he spoke of how he's really improved and focused on jiu-jitsu for the past 2 years. The inactivity, the injury, there are so many question marks surrounding it, and his weight, ballooning up to 250 pounds when you're a 155er. It's a little hard for me to get behind him. But if you want to ignore all that, he does look like he's coming in a little too light in ownership. I'm heavy on Jordan Levitt, but as a super contrarian pick, Matt Sales could be kind of lost in the shuffle.
I know we all have our goals for today. You know, Pete, one of my goals is today.
What's that?
Somebody that's in here right now is going into the Awesemo Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's right, baby. I want to see those screenshots.
Of course, if you want to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, all you got to be doing is rocking that Awesemo avatar on your DFS profile. Tweet your wins to @Awesemo HOF. If you place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, you win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Only one free month can be awarded to a user per calendar year. And looking at some of the people that have recently gone into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, Tyler taking down first place in the Showdown Captain contest, winning over $153,000. Congratulations, Tyler, for there. Brad taking down $5,000 in a DraftKings contest. Also, Leo taking down first place in the NBA contest, winning $400. Congratulations to you. Michael over there in Yahoo taking down an NBA contest. Also, SG finishing first in a mini max contest over there. Kevin also coming in with a first place finish as well. Allison also taking down first place. And then we see our guy Dave over there. Of course, Dave's always here on the Awesemo Strategy Show and Live for Lock. So congratulations to you over there. So hopefully someone in here is going to Awesemo Hall of Fame. That's the hope tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to see it. You guys are the best. It's been a great year. We really hope you've enjoyed our show. It's crazy to think back, and often I bring it up of just what we're doing right now, Jason. It's pretty cool. We're doing what we love, talking about fights. I mean, what's better than that with a great community? If you appreciate what we do, if you could just hit that like button, get us over 100 likes, shoot your questions into chat. We got a little bit of time, and I can't wait to see these screenshots again.
And of course, coming up after us, following the MMA Live for our lock, will be the NFL Strategy Show Tournament Strategy. So be sure to check out those guys as they get you ready for this week's NFL action, which we got games tonight, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Did you know that, Pete, at least?
Yeah. I mean,
no, you did not know. You did not know we had games on Tuesday. Don't lie to me.
Hold on. We really have games on Tuesday? Is that the?
Yes. 2 games got postponed. One of them was Browns, Raiders, and the other one is Rams and Washington football team.
Damn, it's a week of football. I love it.
So Tuesday you'll have two games going on at the same time at 7 p.m. With that one, of course. You got a doubleheader on Monday as well, which will be the Raiders and Browns will be. We'll say it's 5:00 Eastern on Monday.
Damn. So it's going to be Showdown City.
So you got, as you're getting this new gym ready, you got to put some time together, put your NFL lineups in.
Yeah, that's right. I've been grinding. If you don't know, I'm building the gym. So finally back, and it's going to be sweet. I'll post a finished product picture of it, but it looks good so far, and I can't wait. Get back in the training room, teaching, and get back under the lights in the cage. That is the guarantee this year. It's happening.
Gatto or Elkins?
Elkins.
Let's see here. Simone or Lemos? That's a Ricky Simone for me.
Yeah, Simone for me as well.
Thoughts on Levitt significant strikes under 38.5 on Prize Picks?
On who?
Jordan Levitt. I would say less on 38.5.
Yeah, I would say that as well.
Just because, he's not trying to go out there and have a kickboxing matchup. He's trying to get that thing to the ground. No question about it. Mm-hmm. Best FanDuel MVP, Jourdain or Simone? Oh, man. Jourdain could get knocked down, could get a quick finish. I say Simone.
Yeah, it's
because of takedowns.
He's safer. It's Simone.
Why Mershart over Jourdain? I have trust issues with Charles Jourdain, I guess the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I do too.
Trevor says, Pete, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in Bilal Muhammad?
7 out of 10.
And then he says, and Jason, do you think Muhammad has a really good chance? I think the fight is closer than what the betting lines and the DraftKings salaries are.
That's the main thing is it's finding value. And I'll tell you what is really interesting, right? If you go over to awesemo.com and you go on Fantasy Cruncher tab, and you think about the odds in regards to percentages, right? It's a nice way to think about it for value. Whereas Amanda Lemos, right? Minus 313 favorite. So her win percentage lies at 75.8%. Do you think she wins 75% of the time against Angela Hill? Is she
No.
overvalued? Is she undervalued? It's something that I kind of like to look at. And when I look at a fighter in Bilal Muhammad, he's a plus 189 underdog, and they're only giving him a 34% chance of a win, reflected in those odds. I think that he has a better shot than 34%.
Next up, Bill says chance of Hill subbing a fatigue Lemos. So I just looked at the prop bet on that one.
Was it plus 2,000?
2,800.
Yeah, I would be amazed.
That was one thing Hill talked about earlier this week when she did her chat with the media, was basically about, becoming a true martial artist, of being able to, and we saw in her fight against Tecia Torres where she used grappling against Tecia Torres. But yeah, I would, but I mean, look, how many times have we seen over the last 6 months highly decorated jiu-jitsu players that, hell, we saw it a week ago, of fatigue makes you tap quick. Think of Rodolfo Vieira a couple months ago.
Oh my God, fatigue makes a coward out of all of us. So somebody was putting in chat, what's the best base for MMA? And somebody said cardio. I don't disagree with it. I like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a skill as far as, wrestling or striking, whatnot, but cardio to me is like the most important thing. Being in there and not being able to do what or are capable of doing in the cage is the scariest thing in the world. So, backing fighters with great conditioning is a, pretty profitable, way of thinking.
I feel like that needs to be a Pete the Heat shirt about coward and fatigue.
I think somebody else smarter than me said that. I'm not sure who said that, but I can't take credit for that.
Let's see here. What do you guys think about Gato as the last piece for a DraftKings cash lineup?
I don't hate it, but my issue is if she's too comfortable off of her back. I feel like she's not at the jiu-jitsu caliber of Sijara Eubanks, but Eubanks could possibly fatigue and quit. I don't hate it. It's I would say a lower upside than some of these other underdogs.
Mershart or Swanson for last spot DraftKings? I would go Mershart.
Yeah, same.
Matt, I'm glad Matt, I love this question he brings up, because this is something me and Pete were talking about before the show.
What's that? Fade
the main event. Derek Lewis has had 2 5-round fights in 2021, and neither has produced an optimal score. Volume is just never there in a Lewis fight. What I brought to Pete before the show, that if you wanted to separate yourself from the field, try not to roster the main event.
Yeah, you brought it up to me before the show, and I did do that for a portion of my lineups as well, just because Derek Lewis is known to have stinkers, and he's such a scary guy. He's so physically imposing where you don't want to get touched on the chin. You could see this little pitter-patter, hesitant type of approach, low volume, reaches the second or third round, results, maybe even, just get stretched out beyond that, results in a sloppy heavyweight hugging affair against the cage. And it just doesn't make it into the optimal lineup. I feel like a lot of people aren't constructing lineups with that mindset, and it's a way to get a little bit different. I wouldn't recommend it if you're only doing a limited amount of lineups, but the more you're playing, the more you should somewhat get away from it.
And also note, smaller cage tonight, 25-foot cage as opposed to a 30-foot cage.
Good point, Jason.
Next up, Adam says, is leaving $700 in a 150 max DraftKings GPP too much?
Not at all. I got a ton of money on the table.
Chances that Top 100 goes to the decision like majority of sloppy low-level heavyweights.
I'll be surprised if that really goes the distance.
Yeah. Let's see here. Best Fanduel MVP. I like Meerschaert because of submission attempts. Simone, Daukaus. If you wanted to get different, really different, maybe Gamrot.
Yeah, I don't disagree. We got Dave in chat saying, if weighing projections and ownership, it's a fantastic question. What would you choose? Right now in my formula formulas, I'm weighing it 80% projections, 20% ownership. So a lot of his lineups are dependent on the projections, and projections are great. I think that a lot of leverage obviously lies within ownership. So I feel like I would probably lean a little bit more in the ownership direction, not saying 80-20 is bad, but I feel like a 70-30 might allow you enough with the projections, but also get you a little contrarian and unique with ownership.
Of course, we're going to wrap things up here as we got the NFL Tournament Strategy Show coming up next. Of course, be sure to hit thumbs up on the video as well. Pete, any last things you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, I can't wait, man. We have a gap in time before the fights, so I'm gonna run to the gym. Hopefully, we don't have any fights canceled. If they do get canceled, just kind of pay attention to this up until it locks. And everybody, good luck. Hope to see some screenshots.
And I'll mention this, and someone asked about the cage size, how it impacts. Typically, for the most part, in that smaller cage, you tend to see more finishes, but also it has shown to really help out grapplers.
Yeah, exactly. Fought in a smaller cage, and you got to be careful because you throw a couple combinations. Next thing you know, you're clinching.
So that is going to do it for Live Before Lock. Happy holidays, everyone. Me and Pete will be back in essentially a month from now. Is the next UFC card. So we got a nice little break, but keep it locked here to awesemo.com for all the great coverage we have here. Coming up next will be NFL Strategy Show, Tournament Strategy. So keep it locked here to awesemo.com. Have a great night, everybody.